Good evening and salutations, my Y&R fans. You know, when you really look at this whole Sharon breakdown because she's not on her meds or anything like that, first of all, let's talk about that for a hot minute, right? In my mind, I'm assuming that she is not on her meds. I'm pretty sure at one point she said she stopped taking her meds. But when Mariah checked, all the stuff was accounted for. So either she said she wasn't taking the meds and she's actually taking the meds. She knows that her family isn't there watching the pills and stuff like that, and she's just probably just throwing them out each and every single day. So this way, if they check, they could be like, oh, "Okay, cool. Well, she's still on her meds or whatever." Because I'm like 97% sure I heard her say that she just stopped taking the meds in general. But going on this whole breakdown thing so far, it none of the stuff that she has done has been like over the top, right? Like most of the stuff can generally be explained away. Faith and Mariah, hearing her talk about her, talk to herself, her snippet saying that she's seeing Cassie and Cameron and stuff like that could be due to her body adjusting to the new doses. And maybe they need to sit there and kind of try different doses, try different combination or whatever. Her outbursts so far with people have been very mild and mostly understandable. When Lucy started, trying to sit there and see Faith right after Faith got out the hospital, it was more or less a normal reaction for her to be like, no, listen, I don't want you to sit there and see my daughter. And she walked out of there. She just almost had her little girl die. And this chick is, she's partly responsible for that. So any rational parent would sit there and look at that situation and be like, nah, we good. I've told you more than once. My daughter's told you more than once. How many times I need to sit there and keep telling you? The conversation at the at the cafe. When Lucy was sitting there saying, "Oh well, I really want to sit there and see her," and brung up Cassie, her tone was most people. If she would have brung that up too, they would have been a lot more louder and a lot more vocal. I thought she was actually pretty chill or actually pretty like level given the way that Lucy was acting and given what Lucy said. And even in today's episode. So she goes to the cafe and she runs into Esther. Esther, I am really trying to be nice. She means well, but she's not good at as far as reading the room. That's just me putting it lightly. So Sharon comes in there, and Sharon's like, listen, I want some coffee and everything. And you can see the look on her face, where it's like, if you ever work customer service, you can read people. You can read their body language. You can read their face. There's those times where it's like, they don't want to sit there and have a chit chat. They just want to sit there and get their stuff and get out. You just go accordingly, you know? With Esther, she doesn't get that, right? So she's like, well, I think that we have some new tea or whatever in the back. And it's like, Sharon, at first I paused it because I had to sit there and look something up on my phone or whatever. And I'm writing. I was like, okay, and she's about to sit there and like explode on her, right? There's a look on her face. It's like, what the did I just ask you? But again, her reaction was mild. The only thing that she sat there and said was, is this how you sit there and talk to all the customers? Listen, it comes towards caffeine, especially if it's early in the morning, she's working that morning shift, they want to sit there and get their stuff and they want to go. Okay? I would be annoyed. I don't think I would sit there and raise my voice and act like a Karen or anything like that, but I would be annoyed if I came in the cafe and I was like, hey, I want, let's say, Starbucks, right? My favorite drink. Cinnamon dolce latte. And I sit there and say I want that. And I get a new barista or whatever, and they're like, well, we got some tea, whatever. It's like, 5 o'clock in the morning. This is not the conversation I want to sit there and hear. I want what I want. I want to be caffeinated. This way I can talk to people like a normal person and not like a goddamn zombie. So just get me what I asked for. So that's pretty much all she did was sit there saying, is this something that you normally do? And then she apologized, and I was just like, wait, what are we apologizing for? Like, honestly, tell you the truth, what you said was correct, but she apologizes because, she's been talking to her mind, which is Cameron Kirk now, and for like 20, 30 something minutes, she's been sitting there, or he's been sitting there saying, he's been suggesting something that she doesn't want to do. She finds disgusting, repulsive, and whatever. I'm sitting there thinking, and I put this in my title, I think a couple of days ago, that she's going to sit there and off Daniel, right? Because like if it's not that, then if it's anything else other than that, it's going to be stupid. And I like to sit there and think after 50 plus something years, if not more, Y&R would not sit there and do something that dull. So this is pretty much where we're at. Meanwhile, you got a family meeting of Nick sitting there convincing Mariah, mostly Faith, that they need to take this seriously. Faith's like everything she's done so far has been mocked, which is true on some level. She does sit there and make this comment about how most people don't sit there and answer their phones these days, but that's most people of your age. That's not people of Sharon's age. Um, but Nick is like, yo, listen, we got to do something. We got to do a family intervention or whatever, because I've seen what she's like when she goes off the rails. So they go to the house, they look for her, they call Esther. Esther tells Nick that she's kind of off, jumpy and erratic and everything. And Nick is like, just try to keep her there as long as possible. Now Sharon is not there talking to Daniel. And Sharon's like, can we just sit there and just have a talk on the patio? Just kind of like, really clear the air. And Daniel's like, I don't really know. That does not seem like a good idea. And Daniel walks out because he had a fight with Heather. Heather brought up the past or whatever. This whole thing, this whole conversation, this whole scene revolves Lucy. Now, when I sit there and say Lucy's in the scene, right, with her parents, we can all guess, even before I say the words, that Lucy is acting like her usual bratty self. She's acting self-centered. She's making it all by herself. I don't even have to get into specifics because this is the mood that she's been in. And the way that she talks to her parents is absolutely disrespectful. I don't know. All my friends I grew up with, okay, their moms is not playing that. Okay, you talk to your mom in any sort of disrespectful way, what? Or anything like that. To sit there and say that you getting the belt is putting it lightly at this point. Okay? When I grew up, your parents literally put the fear of God in you so this way you wouldn't sit there and act like the disrespectful little brat that we're sitting there saying now. So I don't have to get into specifics about what she did because we already know, the minute I sit there and say Lucy plus parents, we already know where this conversation's going. Now, one of the things that Heather was not there saying, well, when Heather, because Daniel, that job thing did not work out, and Heather's job, the interview did not work out, and Heather's like, maybe we need to sit there and do something else. Daniel's like, we need to stay because we can't sit there and show Lucy that we have to run away from our problems. But Heather is probably the only person in this room that's not there thinking with a realistic brain. At some point, our savings is going to run out. We're not going to sit there and dip into Lucy's college fund. We need to do something. You're not working. I'm not working. This is not going to last. Daniel was talking about, oh, well, we got family. Oh, okay, so is Phyllis going to be sitting there paying next month's rent? She going to be sitting there buying the groceries this week? No? Summer's not either? Summer has money because Nick has money. We gonna see any of that? Because she's the only person sitting there thinking real. And of course, she sits there and try to relay that to Lucy about, listen, we gotta do something because job prospects ain't working out here. We gotta sit there and find a way to make money. But Lucy, being who she is not really concerned about that. She wants to stay. She doesn't want to move. She's sick and tired of her parents always having her move from place to place and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying those aren't concerned, but in a grand scheme of things, boo, you might want to sit there and think about when your next meal is going to be. But you can sit there and tell that Daniel and Heather's parenting skills is very piss poor. So the whole conversation just goes off the rails. And at some point, Heather and Daniel starts fighting, and Heather brings up the past. Daniel leaves, and she calls back in Lucy. At this point, she has to practically beg Lucy to just kind of dial it down for a little bit. And this way, they can stop fighting. I'm like, in what universe does that make sense when your parent got to sit there and beg you to stop acting like a brat for 5 minutes and remember that your family and your mother and daughter? One of the people I grew up with ever had to sit there and deal with that. And I know that this is a soap opera and stuff like that, and fantasy and everything like that. But when you see things like that, it's like it just shows the level of shitty parenting that these people have. It's the same thing with Carly. It's like Jocelyn should never talk to her mom like that. Like that is absolutely insane. But you see this, and you're like, really? Um, Poe's that they're thinking about moving to Genoa City permanently after having some fun time with Victoria. And they see Kyle and Claire, so they all wind up just hanging out, and Claire Claire starts talking and just makes things just awkward when she was like, oh, what was you doing in mom's room, or what was you doing in dad's room, or whatever, and it's like she just kept talking, and it was just like you should just probably stop talking at this point because now you're making everyone in this damn table uncomfortable. I mean, I understand that she grew up, but she didn't really have like an adult life. But I can't imagine that. Like, it's hard to sit there and imagine on some level that she still kind of has this mind of a kid, but she's smart enough to sit there and be able to read people. She was smart enough to sit there and infiltrate the Newmans and everything like that, and trick them all into coming to that house. But yet, certain things where it's like you're asking your parents these awkward questions and you keep talking and you don't know how to shut up. It's like sometimes with that character, I don't know. Anyway, I think that's about it. Now, if I forgot anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about all the shows, Young and the Restless, Born and Beautiful, General Hospital, and Days of Our Lives. With that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.